We have been tracking Stellar for a bit of time, and recently we addressed a few of the recent developments around Stellar that could potentially lead to mass adoption of not just Stellar, but the entire crypto space. Now, looking at XLM today, well, we got some pretty big news, and I feel as if at the moment, XLM is still so severely overlooked and so undervalued, especially considering the fact that most people are just not looking into what's being announced from Stellar and what's happening around XLM as well. So with that in mind, we're going to go over a lot of things within this video to really kind of give you guys an update on just what recently got announced. So let's first start off with the price chart. So right now, I mean, listen, if we're looking at the uptrend that we're currently trading in, it's very slight. We want to see something big here. We want to see a strong impulsive move, just like back here in July. I mean, this was a very significant push to the upside. That's exactly what we want to see here. In fact, the main thing that I'm really looking at, and I know that this is not a lot to ask, is I just want to see us break back over like 34 cents. Reclaiming this would be very significant because number one, it's major resistance recently. It's also resistance going all the way back to May. So we would be flipping the May highs. And then it's also support going all the way back to December. So this would be a huge area that would kind of give us that confidence that, all right, yeah, XLM is bottomed. We should start to see a bigger push back to the upside. And then that's where we look at the target of, the July high being next, which will lead us to the highs going all the way back to November of last year. Now, on top of that, right, like what's the key drivers here around Stellar? Well, a lot of the recent developments are actually giving us an insight on just how bullish XLM is and how much more bullish it's becoming as well. So we definitely have to, really focus on that, which we'll talk about in this video. So let's start off with what I recently addressed, which was the fact that we are seeing increased adoption around Stellar from some pretty big names. Real quick before we continue on with the video, DCENT Wallet is having their largest sale of the year, up to 40% off. If you want to secure your crypto on a cold storage device, now is the best time to lock in on a DCENT Wallet, where a single pack is 30% off and a double pack is up to 40% off. Even if you have a DCENT Wallet already, maybe you have a friend or a family member in crypto that also wants to store their crypto on a cold storage device to ensure that it is fully secure. Why not buy them this for the holiday season? If you guys do want to go and get this deal right now, there's going to be a link down in the description below. This is the largest sale of the year. This won't be back for another year. So if you guys want to lock in now, it's the best time. Now, with that being said, let's dive on in back to the video. Recently, Stellar joined the MasterCard crypto credential ecosystem. This was definitely a big one. This goes all the way back to October of 2024. We definitely love to see this because, again, just more development around this space from TradFi players and Web2 based players to actually interact with blockchain networks like Stellar. It's very bullish. Now, obviously, the MasterCard crypto credential is a broad sort of organization, if you will, or just a piece of MasterCard. That's definitely pretty big because, again, MasterCard is a massive name. Everyone knows about MasterCard. But this was along with a few other names. It wasn't just Stellar working with MasterCard or anything like that, but it's definitely a big plus one. And then on top of that, recently on November 18th, we did get the big update from WireX app with, of course, Circle. This was with Visa as well. So they are going live with a dual stablecoin settlement for Circle issued USDC and euros on the Stellar network. This is fully integrated with Visa and operating at scale. So this is definitely big. And yes, it's all based around Stellar. So now you have Visa and MasterCard tapped in, and not to even mention PayPal, right? With PYUSD. PYUSD is definitely another big one. And even if we're looking at Stellar today, outside of course, tokenized value or anything like that, the stablecoin side, right? Stablecoin market cap, stablecoin holders, they're both up. Stablecoin market cap is not up that big, but again, it's still up. Just looking at a few things here, right? If we're looking at stablecoins, there's increasingly more and more stablecoins launching on Stellar. Right now, I don't think that they actually have the number up here. There used to be maybe asset classes. Yeah, 14. So there's 14 stablecoins on Stellar right now. We could see all of them here, right? We have the Euro stablecoin from Circle, the Australian Digital Dollar, USDC, VNX Euro. We also have PYUSD. Stasis Euro, Japanese Yen, Swiss Franc, another USD stablecoin. We also have MZAR, Canadian dollar digital money as well, Real MXN. On top of that, we also have, two additional ones here, the Australian digital dollar again, and then also the Canadian dollar digital money. I mean, guys, the amount of stable coins that are on Stellar is just so significant. And again, having 14 stable coins on a network like Stellar is very bullish at a time where we are starting to see increased adoption around payments on Stellar from institutional names. We've talked about it on multiple occasions on why stablecoins are crucial for this space on every single major step. If we're thinking about institutional DeFi or even tokenization, stablecoins are essentially the crucial liquidity driver of all of those use cases. So stablecoins are definitely big, and everyone always says, oh, well, it's good for stablecoins, it's terrible for XLM, for example, right? Well, if we're thinking about stablecoins being utilized on Stellar, the more stablecoins that are moving over Stellar or the increased volume on Stellar, that all impacts the gas token, which is of course XLM. So that will increase the demand for XLM as well in a big way, leading to increased value. So again, stablecoins are definitely a big player in this space, and they're very bullish for the space as well. Now, on top of that, we just got another massive announcement from Stellar, which was this one, talking about stablecoins. I said here, this is absolutely massive for Stellar and XLM. It's clear that banks are now moving to on-chain money, with stablecoins being at the heart of that move. I expect many more announcements like this. Banks are in testing mode. Just wait until they go live. And here we have the announcement. US Bank is testing custom stablecoin issuance on the Stellar network. Real infrastructure testing for regulated deposit tokens, the kind that could reshape how banks move money. And big shout out to Tokenizer for this, because he fully broke this down, and it does include, of course, PayPal and a few other big players. We have an absolute financial giant has entered the XLM ecosystem. This is none other than US Bank. They are one of the top 5 largest banks in the US with over $660 billion in total assets. The fact that US Bank is now testing stablecoin deployment and use on Stellar is bigger than most realize. Over the past year, we've seen stablecoins become rapidly adopted by institutions across EU and the US. This comes after the regulatory frameworks of MiCA in the EU and Genius in the US, respectively. In return, we've now seen stablecoins being deployed across public DLTs in a compliant manner, enabling compliant institutional usage. And we've seen Stellar be a prime leader in both. The US, PayPal and Paxos issued PYUSD. In the EU, Societe Generale, URSV, and DECTA's URD. It shouldn't come as a surprise to see a financial leader like the US Bank selecting Stellar given their regulated reputation. The institutional inflows are now open, and Stellar is looking like a prime destination. And listen, we've talked about this many times over, all right? Like, if we're going all the way back to tokenization, remember that Franklin Templeton was one of the first major institutional players and asset management companies to actually start tokenizing on a public blockchain back in 2022. It was actually announced back in 2021 that they were going to tap into Stellar, but it didn't happen until 2022. And then after that, it started to just really grow in a big way. Even when we go back to Stellar, right? We could see the tokenized value starting to hit Stellar back in 2022. And it was one of the first major players. I mean, even if we're going back to networks, right? Like today, yeah, Ethereum is number 1. And, XLM or Stellar has dropped down on the list in a big way. It's going to happen. It's normal. But when we look at Ethereum really didn't start to see increased adoption from some pretty big players around tokenization for a little bit of time. And I don't know why this is loading so slow. But for an example, right, like we have some tokenization back here in 2021. However, most of the big value really didn't start to hit Ethereum up until about roughly like 2023, I would argue. And I know that there's over $1 billion here, but we're talking about like the big steps here that took Ethereum from, a small network at the size that it is to where it is today. But even when it comes back to names like Franklin Templeton, it's very clear that they chose Stellar for a reason. And now we have another big player choosing Stellar for, a specific reason. US Bank now tapping in, which by the way, we'll talk about why here in a moment. But let's actually dive on into the main reasons why. There's a few quotes here, and yes, I'm going to play a video clip from this conversation, but we have a few quotes here. This is from the head of digital asset products at US Bank. We have, for bank customers, we have to think about other protections around know your customers, the ability to unwind transactions, the ability to claw back transactions. And one of the great things about the Stellar platform, as we did some more research and development on it, was learning that they have the ability at their base operating layer to freeze assets and unwind transactions. This is also the number one reason why Franklin Templeton chose Stellar as well, for tokenization. You can go back and research that as well if you guys want to. But we have, when you are doing mission critical systems, when you are doing financial services and you are moving consumers' money, you need to make sure that your blockchain is going to be there. So we are very honored to have the confidence of US Bank and our partners at PwC. We take that confidence and that trust very, very seriously. We have down here, this is, just a quote from, this is just a discussion on why this collaboration is so significant. So this reflects the SDF's mission, helping to unlock equitable access to the global financial system by making the rails beneath everyday financial services more inclusive, interoperable, and efficient. The bottom line is institutions have arrived. New financial infrastructure is taking shape now, and US Bank, PwC, and SDF are working to unlock the next wave of digital banking. Yeah, this is incredible. And again, when we think about these names like US Bank, diving on in, this is just the start. This is just the beginning of big players tapping into these public blockchains like Stellar. Now we have over here from Crypto Airy, we have US Bank has chosen Stellar Org for its programmable money, stablecoins. For an XRP Ledger programmable future, follow these individuals as well. But check this out real quick.
And today we are talking about the tokenized future of banking. First off, from US Bank, Mike Villano. He's Senior Vice President of Enterprise Innovation with US Bank. Mike, why are we talking about stablecoin at all?
It's the exciting work we have when it comes to issuing stablecoins that we're partnered with PwC as an advisory company and consulting company to help us developing on the Stellar network and in partnership and collaboration with the Stellar Development Foundation. So we're very excited for that. But to your question around why stablecoins, it's another way to move money on a blockchain. And we look at blockchain as an alternative payment rail. And we're very interested to see what use cases are going to manifest from that and what customers are going to be most interested in. It's thinking about what compliance rules, what business rules you can build into this program, this new programmable money, and how we can potentially deliver that safely, securely, and reliable.
So we've been talking about blockchain for years, and we're at a point now where it's not about innovation anymore. It's about practical application in a rigorous, highly regulated environment where we're taking advantage of the tooling on chain, in this case on the Stellar network, to demonstrate that the promise of programmable money actually yields benefits for not only the institution, but the customers that they serve.
So yeah, listen, when we have big banks like this telling us, hey, we want to, take control and tap into on-chain future, products, they mean it. This is happening. This is the start of institutionalization of the crypto space. And I really do think that it's extremely bullish to focus on what's happening right now. And everyone still is kind of, focused on price action and, is the market going to bounce back? Or is this during this time, these institutional players do not care about the price action. They are not looking at price charts. They're not looking at XLM and saying, it's 25 cents. It was back here, almost 50 cents. No, they do not care. They're tapping in for the tech. They're locking in stablecoin initiatives on the tech. This is why institutional players have completely outperformed retail in every single way possible. Because what retail is focused on, institutional players do not care about. We need to start focusing on why these institutional players are tapping into Stellar. Why are they tapping into public blockchains? Why are they tapping into these, types of networks? The future is utility. We know that that is the case. We know that these institutional players are going to start flooding in. Right now, they're just trialing. They're testing. When they fully go live, that's when we start to see the real picture around crypto form. We are just at the beginning phase of this. And as a retail investor, we need to lock in on what truly matters here. I understand that we want to make money. I understand that the chart is still important. I understand that price action is still important, but take a step back and think about the long-term view here for crypto. We are just at the starting point for institutional players to tap in. They didn't even go live. They're testing still. The future is very bright for Stellar. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.